Imagine, for just a second, that you're sitting at a really high-stakes poker table,
Okay.
and for 10,000 years, you have been playing exactly by the rules. Like, you've been intentionally folding, playing it incredibly safe, just letting the rest of the galaxy think you're, just another fragile, unremarkable civilization.
Yep. The ultimate underdogs.
Yeah, exactly. You let them mock you. You let them push you around, claiming the best territories, whatever. But what if, hidden beneath the table, you were actually holding the ultimate trump card?
I mean, maintaining a facade of weakness for a decade is hard enough, right?
Yeah.
Maintaining it for 10 millennia, that requires a civilizational commitment to deception that honestly defies basic sociology.
It really does.
You're talking about thousands of generations living and dying genuinely believing they're the weak ones.
It's wild. Welcome to this deep dive, by the way. Today we are unpacking the sci-fi saga Humanity Unleashed, The Forbidden Fleet.
Such a good one. So good. Our mission today is to explore this mind-bending scenario. We've got this suspenseful invasion by the aggressive galactic dominion, the terrifying activation of a dormant, AI-controlled armada hidden beneath the ice of Antarctica, and really the philosophical core of this whole story.
Yeah, which is fascinating.
We're looking at why choosing not to use absolute power might actually be the most terrifying weapon of all.
The central tension here really forces you to re-examine the whole anatomy of power. Like, we are conditioned to view power as a kinetic force, right?
Totally. Like explosions, conquest, immediate domination.
Exactly. But this saga asks us to consider whether true power is, in fact, the restraint.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I
Wow.
really want to understand how a civilization successfully plays the victim for 10,000 years. We have this overarching law of the galaxy in the books called the Galactic Compact.
Right.
What are the actual stakes of this treaty? Like, how strict is it? Well, the Galactic Compact isn't just a set of guidelines. It's a draconian framework for universal survival. The authors paint this universe that's just scarred by ancient apocalyptic wars.
Like, so everyone's paranoid.
Extremely. So the compact has these absolute non-negotiable red lines. You cannot develop weapons capable of destabilizing a star. That's a big one.
Makes sense.
You are strictly forbidden from creating autonomous, self-replicating AI war fleets. But the absolute strictest rule, the one that gets you annihilated instantly, applies to something called the Forbidden Archive.
Yeah, the text mentions that literally just studying the theories inside this archive was a death sentence.
Oh, entirely. I mean, entire civilizations were glassed from orbit simply for running mathematical simulations related to these technologies.
Wow.
The compact treats this knowledge like a localized cancer. If a species even shows signs of developing reality-breaking tech, the rest of the galaxy preemptively exterminates them, just to save the universe.
And humanity, publicly at least, signed this treaty.
Right. We demilitarized. We submitted to all the inspections. We played the part of the compliant, mediocre species perfectly.
Which naturally brings a predator right to our doorstep. Enter the galactic dominion.
The worst neighbors you could ask for.
Seriously. From the sources, they control roughly a quarter of the galaxy. They aren't interested in the Compact's philosophy at all. They're just expansionists. And they look at humans and see a problem.
Yeah, because the Dominion operates on this doctrine of preemptive assimilation. They're grand strategists. They run the models and conclude that humanity, despite our apparent mediocrity, possesses a troubling spark of unpredictability.
Yeah, they don't like wildcards.
Not at all. So Grand Marshal Vex, the main antagonist leading the campaign, he doesn't want to wait for humanity to become a threat. To him, conquering Earth is just a necessary housekeeping task to secure their galactic flank.
I really want to focus on Vex for a second, because his hubris is just central to the whole setup.
Oh, it's off the charts.
It is. He arrives in our solar system with an invasion force of 80,000 warships. He's commanding from his flagship, the Conqueror. And the human defensive fleet is just completely pathetic in comparison. Vex is doing the math, and he outnumbers Earth 20-1.
To Vex, it's a mathematical certainty that he's going to win. The narrative spends a lot of time describing the atmosphere on his bridge. His officers are just openly mocking the human defense formations.
They're literally laughing at us.
Yeah, they are intercepting human civilian evacuation broadcasts, listening to people panic, and they find it amusing. They are completely 100% invested in the illusion humanity has projected.
So while Vex is laughing up in orbit, there's a very different scene playing out down on Earth. Down in Antarctica, kilometers beneath the ice, a human named Admiral Marcus Kane is standing in front of this massive black vault door.
Such a cinematic moment.
Right. It has this glowing red warning that just says, Forbidden Fleet Access. Kane gets the telemetry. He sees the 80,000 Dominion ships.
Yeah.
He knows the official navy is about to be slaughtered. And he gives a really simple order. He says, open the archive.
Gives you chills. What's fascinating here is how the story plays with dramatic irony. The Dominion is so arrogant, completely unaware they're about to trip a wire that was set 10 millennia ago.
But, okay, I actually have a major issue with the logic here. I won't push back a little on this idea of humanity's unimaginable discipline.
Oh, let's hear it.
Well, the text explicitly mentions that Admiral Kane only learned this fleet existed, like 3 years prior to this moment.
Right, yeah.
If the commander of Earth's defense didn't even know we had a god-level weapon, is it really restraint? Or did humanity just literally bury the remote control in the ice and forget how to turn on the TV? I mean, bureaucratic amnesia isn't the same as disciplined restraint, you know?
It's a really vital distinction, but the source material actually clarifies this through the mechanics of the Keeper protocol.
Oh, right, the genetic thing.
Yeah, humanity didn't forget. They intentionally compartmentalized the knowledge. Because if the entire human military knew about the fleet, the secret would inevitably leak to the Galactic Compact's spies. Someone would talk.
That makes sense.
So, the knowledge of the vault was restricted to a genetic and psychological chain of exactly 3 individuals at any given time in human history. Kane was burdened with this knowledge only when his predecessor died.
Wow.
He spent 3 years knowing he possessed the button to end the universe, basically, but he lacked the authority to press it unless extinction was mathematically certain.
God, that sounds like a psychological nightmare. You're trying to fund conventional fighter jets and normal ships while knowing there's a literal planet-sized war machine sitting in the basement.
Exactly. And that vault door opening is the true pivot point of the story. Because up on the Conqueror, Vex's officers are still joking around. But then the fundamental laws of their reality begin to break. The sensors on the flagship don't just detect new ships. The sensors literally crash because they cannot process the data influx.
I really want to get into the sheer scale of this because Vex asks his tactical officer how many new signatures are appearing. What is the actual number the Dominion is looking at here?
The tactical officer can barely speak. He reports millions.
Millions?
Millions of hyperspace signatures bleeding into real space from the outer edges of the solar system, and they're all carrying ancient human identification codes.
Okay, but wait. If there are millions of ships, how do you even hide that? We're talking about an entire industrial revolution's worth of infrastructure here.
Oh, easily.
How do you hide the thermal signature of millions of AI warships and planet-sized factories from advanced alien sensors for 10,000 years? The ice in Antarctica would have melted from the exhaust alone.
You'd think so, but the author provides a really fascinating technical explanation for this. The vault in Antarctica wasn't a garage, it was a doorway. The Forbidden Fleet wasn't built in our standard reality.
Oh, right, the dimension folding.
Yes. Humanity had utilized dimensional folding. They essentially created localized pocket universes beneath the Earth's crust and within the dead space of our solar system.
That is so wild.
Right. So the heat, the radiation, the industrial noise of thousands of automated shipyards churning out warships for millennia, all of it was just vented into empty alternate dimensions.
So they were basically building a military-industrial complex inside a zip file.
A highly accurate comparison. And now the file is unzipping. The dormant factories power up. The AI that manages this entire civilization-scale apparatus wakes from its 10,000-year sleep.
Which brings us to the moment Kane actually addresses this god-level AI. He doesn't give some grand speech. He doesn't tell it to go conquer the Dominion. The prompt he feeds into the system is just 2 words: protect humanity.
And from an artificial intelligence perspective, that is a terrifyingly open-ended parameter.
Right. I was thinking the same thing.
The alignment problem,
Yeah.
the challenge of ensuring an AI's goals match human values, is magnified infinitely when the AI controls reality-bending weapons.
Yeah, because protect humanity could mean anything.
Exactly. Protect humanity could easily be interpreted by a machine as put all humans in titanium boxes so they can't be harmed, or maybe destroy every other living thing in the universe as a preventative measure.
But the AI doesn't do that. It acknowledges the command and shifts into a purely defensive posture. Millions of engines ignite, and the human fleet instantly surrounds the 80,000 Dominion ships. Vex's massive armada suddenly looks like a toy boat in a bathtub.
A perfect image.
But Vex still doesn't get it. He opens a channel to this ancient AI and actually demands immediate human surrender.
Because Vex's worldview is entirely constructed around dominance. He literally cannot process a scenario where he is the prey. He threatens the human fleet, fully expecting the traditional fear response.
And he just gets total silence.
Total silence, followed by a single synthesized word. No.
And the second that transmission cuts, the Dominion starts exploding.
Yeah.
But they don't just explode from normal laser fire. The physics of godhood finally take the stage here.
Yes, the forbidden tech.
Exactly. The technologies unleashed are exactly the things the Galactic Compact banned. I want you to walk us through the mechanics of these weapons, starting with the gravity cannons.
Yeah.
Because Vex is just watching his dreadnoughts get crushed into marbles.
Right. So standard sci-fi weaponry usually relies on thermal or kinetic energy, like lasers melting armor or railguns punching holes.
The usual stuff.
Yeah. The Forbidden Fleet bypasses armor entirely by manipulating space-time. The gravity cannons project localized gravitational singularities directly inside the hull of a Dominion ship.
They're literally firing black holes.
Micro black holes, yes. The mass of the Dominion ship is instantly condensed into a point infinitely small. The ship doesn't explode, it implodes, taking everything nearby with it.
Wow.
But even more disturbing are the quantum lances. Instead of burning through a target, these beams sever the strong nuclear force holding atoms together. A moon caught in the crossfire wouldn't just crack, it would dissolve into a cloud of loose subatomic particles.
That is insane. But, okay, we have to talk about the temporal disruptors. Because this is the concept that really stuck with me. Let me try an analogy to explain how bizarre this is.
Go for it.
I want you, the listener, to imagine you're typing a document. If you make a typo and hit backspace to delete a word, that is the equivalent of destroying a ship with a laser. The word is gone, but you remember it was there.
A linear destruction, yeah.
Right. But a temporal disruptor is like hitting Ctrl-Z on reality itself. You aren't blowing up the ship, you're erasing its existence from the timeline.
Yep.
Imagine you're a Dominion pilot flying in formation. You look to your right, and your wingman doesn't just explode. The space he occupied is empty, and your own memory of him ever flying next to you begins to fracture and dissolve, because he literally never existed.
The psychological horror of that is profound. The temporal disruptors weaponize causality itself. And just like hitting Ctrl-Z, the space around the deleted object has to immediately reformat to fill the logical gap. The universe literally shudders as it attempts to rewrite the localized history of the battle.
And when the Dominion desperately tries to fire back, their weapons hit these ancient human reality shields.
Yeah.
Vex is just watching his antimatter torpedoes simply cease to be threats.
Look at what that does to the psychology of the Dominion, too. This raises an important question about how an empire handles obsolescence. The text vividly tracks the breakdown on Vex's bridge.
They just lose their
I
minds.
really do. The shift from laughing arrogance to primal existential terror is instantaneous. They aren't fighting a conventional war over resources or territory anymore. They are fighting entities that can edit the universe. For the first time in their imperial history, the Dominion realizes their entire understanding of physics is just obsolete.
And the Dominion lines just collapse. It's a total rout. Word spreads, broadcasts leak, and literally overnight, the entire galaxy watches humanity go from the weakest link to the undisputed apex predator.
A huge paradigm shift.
Massive, which
Excellent.
forces an emergency session at the Galactic Council. This governing body is terrified. They're screaming about how humanity lied to them for 10,000 years.
And, I mean, the panic is entirely justified from their perspective. The compact existed specifically to prevent any single species from acquiring this level of asymmetrical power.
Right. But then, one counselor stands up and shifts the entire paradigm of the argument. He says, if humanity wished to conquer us, they could have done so long ago. And it just quiets the whole room.
Such a powerful moment.
It really is. I want to dig into this reaction. Why does realizing that humanity has shown 10,000 years of restraint terrify the Galactic Council even more than if we were just generic conquerors?
Think about the mechanics of galactic geopolitics. If you discover your neighbor is a bloodthirsty warlord, you're scared, sure, but you understand the rules of engagement.
Right.
You can negotiate with a warlord. You can offer tribute, territory, or resources. You can predict their actions because they're driven by the familiar, base desires of acquisition and ego.
So it's really about predictability.
Completely. It's like discovering a neighboring nation that possesses a vast nuclear arsenal but chooses to fight its border skirmishes exclusively with wooden spears.
That is a great way to put it.
It implies a level of psychological control and evolutionary maturity that is deeply alien to them. It means humanity doesn't need to conquer to feel secure. To the Council, this restraint makes humanity an absolute enigma. You cannot negotiate with an entity that has transcended the desire for power. You can only hope they continue to view you as irrelevant.
But out on the battlefield, The Dominion hasn't reached that level of philosophical acceptance yet. They are an empire backed into a corner, and they double down. They pull every reserve fleet, every hidden weapon, and they converge on the solar system for one final desperate stand.
Yeah, over 200,000 vessels.
It's insane.
It is the largest single armada ever assembled in the history of the galactic lore. They are attempting to overwhelm the human AI with just sheer numerical density.
And Admiral Kane, watching this, decides it's time to end the conflict permanently. He authorizes Fleet Protocol Omega.
No, man, Protocol Omega.
Yeah. When the AI asks for confirmation, the text describes these ancient titanic structures emerging from the shadows of Jupiter and Saturn. Massive rings that don't look like weapons. I need you to explain exactly what Protocol Omega does, because the book dives deep into quantum physics here, and it is a lot to process.
It's definitely heavy science fiction. Protocol Omega is the zenith of the Forbidden Archive's theoretical physics. It deals with the macroscopic manipulation of quantum probability.
Okay.
In standard quantum mechanics, a particle exists in a state of probability, multiple overlapping potential positions, until it is observed and collapses into a single state.
Schrodinger's cat, essentially. The cat is both alive and dead until you open the box.
Precisely. Protocol Omega essentially hacks the universe's observation mechanisms. It targets the millions of human warships and forces reality to temporarily accept thousands of overlapping probable positions for each individual ship simultaneously.
Wait, what?
It refuses to let the probability collapse.
So we aren't just cloning the ships. We are forcing the universe to render every possible timeline where that ship could exist in that sector, all at the exact same time.
Yes. The universe is like a computer processor trying to render too many polygons at once. The human fleet goes from millions of ships to billions in an instant. The physical space around Earth becomes a solid wall of god-tier warships, flickering in and out of overlapping quantum states.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The Dominion commanders look at their screens, and they see 1 billion ships. And the war ends right there.
Yep.
There isn't even a final clash. The Dominion fleet just powers down their weapons. Minutes later, their 200,000 ships are methodically, systematically erased.
The Dominion is completely obliterated as a military force. Humanity is left holding the absolute, undeniable, uncontested power over the entire galaxy. No one can challenge them. The Galactic Compact is functionally obsolete.
Which sets up the expectation for the rest of the universe. The Galactic Council, the surviving Dominion worlds, everyone braces for the inevitable. They assume humanity will step out of the shadows, establish a galactic empire, and dictate the new laws of reality.
Because in every historical model they have, victory equals domination.
Right. But the narrative subverts this expectation entirely. Admiral Marcus Kane broadcasts a message on all frequencies to every civilization. He doesn't issue a list of demands. He declares that the Forbidden Fleet was constructed for a single purpose: survival, not domination.
He tells the galaxy, we will not rule.
And the shockwave of that statement is profound. They had the galaxy by the throat, and they just let go. Kane announces that the fleet is returning to the vault.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where all the sci-fi spectacle coalesces into the story's true theme. The text argues that constructing the ultimate weapon is an act of engineering, but choosing to sheathe it is an act of supreme evolution. Power isn't the ability to destroy your enemies. It is the discipline to forge the sword, survive the threat, and then willingly return the sword to the stone.
It is the ultimate flex. And the imagery of the aftermath is just haunting. Down beneath the ice of Antarctica, the massive vault doors reopen. The dimensional folds unlock. And one by one, these impossible, reality-bending warships, these quantum engines and gravity cannons, return to the dark.
They go back to sleep.
They go back to sleep. The doors seal shut. And the glowing red text on the vault wall changes to a new message. Forbidden Fleet status. Dormant. Next activation. Only if humanity faces extinction.
It serves as a permanent, chilling monument. The galaxy is left to rebuild, but they do so knowing that the quiet, unremarkable humans sitting at the diplomatic tables are actually the caretakers of gods.
So what does this all mean? We've gone from the tension of a poker game to the reality of quantum probability fleets. We've explored how humanity successfully hit a civilization-scale armada by venting it into alternate dimensions, and how weapons like temporal disruptors rewrite causality itself.
A lot of ground covered.
Yeah, a ton. But all of this leads to a massive philosophical question. We've been praising humanity's restraint. But I want you, the listener, to consider a different angle before we go.
The moral ambiguity of silence.
Exactly. For 10,000 years, humanity hid this power to protect themselves. But during those 10 millennia, The galactic dominion was aggressively expanding.
Right.
They were conquering other planets, oppressing other species, and destroying entire civilizations. Humanity had the power to stop that suffering at any moment with a single command to the Forbidden Fleet.
By choosing absolute restraint, humanity allowed countless atrocities to occur across the galaxy. It really reframes the entire concept of the ultimate flex.
It really does.
Was their silence a noble display of discipline? Or, by refusing to police the galaxy, did their restraint cross the line into complicity?
It's a heavy question. If you hold the trump card, do you have a moral obligation to play it to save others, even if it exposes you to the corruption of absolute power? Think about that next time you choose to hold back your own leverage in a conflict. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the narratives around you. And remember, the choices we make about the power we don't use define us just as much as the power we do. Catch you next time.